was it. Yeah, that was it. I didn't. It's funny because so I went down to Texas about 6 months after my conversion. First, I went out to the desert, in Mojave Desert, and I lived in a tent out there for a long time. And I would just kind of come into town for mass. But I wanted to go home. I wanted to go just kind of be with my family. And I thought, because I didn't know anything about apologetics, it just didn't, in my mind, there's one church, there's one Christianity. I didn't come into a crowd that was like real steeped in the whole apologetics stuff. And so it just didn't occur to me. My brother he's an independent fundamentalist, first degree separationist Baptist youth minister. And it didn't occur to me that that there would be any divide. Like I just thought, oh, he's going to be real excited that I'm a Christian now. He's going to be really excited.
Yeah.
And I got down there, and man, it was like out of the frying pan into the fire. The very first day. Now I came right into the traditional faith, but nobody explained to me a lot of the particulars. For instance, not going to Protestant places. So, because that just didn't pertain to my state in life really at the time when I was converting.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I got down there, he was like, "Hey, do you want to come to my church?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, it's not a real church. It's just a building, and you've got a guy that's just going to preach from the Bible, right?" He's like, "Yeah, we just preach from the Bible." I said, "Well, I don't see anything wrong with that. Yeah, I'll go." And I went, and he must have told his pastor, "Hey, my brother's coming. He just converted to the Catholic faith, the whore of Babylon. We got to get him, we got to get him saved. He's a Catholic now." So I showed up, and the preacher there, the heretic preacher, they gave this long sermon on basically, contra Catholicism. It was just the whole thing was about how Catholics are going to hell, and the Catholic Church is the whore of Babylon, all that stuff. And I was enraged. I was so mad. And so when he was done, they did the altar call because that's what they do. And I sat there and just listened through his thing, and I could see my brother kind of looking at me out of the side of his eye. And I stood up, and I stared him when he did the altar call. I stood up. I think I like to subvert people's expectations. I think it's funny. So I stood up, and I could see everyone kind of got mildly excited. And I did the sign of the cross, and I turned around and said the creed as I walked out. And that was it. And so me and my brother worked on this ranch together, and I learned apologetics pretty in depth over that year that we were working on the ranch together, because I would go home every day. I'd buy books. All my buddies in California would send me all their books and stuff, and I read it. All the contemporary apologetics, all those guys, the Petries and the whoever else, Scott Hahns and what, yeah. I just poured through all of it. I must have read 50, 60 books in that year. And it was just debate. And everyone on the ranch were all Protestants, of different heretical sects. And we would just argue. That's like all we did for a year was just argue about the faith. It was a ton of fun. That was my introduction to the reality that there is a difference, that there is any distinction whatsoever. And I became really close with those guys. I love those guys. And sometimes it was like almost fist fights. I think me and my brother almost got in a fist fight one time.